So, sweetie, your performance in the test was very impressive, Twilight complimented. Had it been a normal dragon egg, you might have been able to hatch it. Sweetie looked down at her plate sheepishly. Thanks. I tried all my spells. Well, it was a very nice try regardless, Rarity assured. This tricksy pony you taught you should be very proud to have you as a student. Sweetie's eyes sneaked another peek at Twilight, but when she saw the unicorn looking at her, she quickly returned her focus to the plate in front of her. Yeah. To think, my little sister might be attending Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, Rarity gushed. This is amazing! I really hope she passes. Imagine how impressive it will be and, she caught herself adding, I mean, whatever happens, sweetie, you'll always make me proud. I'm very impressed, too, Applejack said after a few more bites of her salad. Yeah, with the food, you fatty. Now if I could get Apple Bloom to dedicate herself to school like you do. Hey, I study all the time, Apple Bloom complained. Sure you do, Sugar Cube, Applejack smirked. That's why I had that long talk with Cheerly about your homework. That was just once, and she told you in a bar. It weren't even official. The screeching of a chair being suddenly dragged on the floor drew every pony's at the table's attention, and I removed as the dark alicorn stood up, a rather uncomfortable grimace on her dark features. I have to go. Now, the alicorn said, turning around and galloping out of the dining hall. She gotta go throw up 'cause she's pregnant. Twilight did a number on her. How rude, Rarity said, looking at the door as it slammed behind the Dark Queen. I wonder what happened, Twilight pondered as she stood up slowly. All of you, please go ahead. I'll be back shortly. Oh my god. You're a slave, not a psychiatrist. Whatever. The group remained silent until the purple unicorn had left the room. Then Scootaloo burst out laughing. The others stared at the Pegasus until understanding dawned on them. Does she think what I'm thinking? Prego Nightmare Moon? Twilight winced when the sudden scream tore through the halls of the castle. She hurried after the sound, knowing that whatever it was that could upset Nightmare Moon herself as much could not be good. Or should that be bad? She got so confused lately. She followed the angry mutters until she arrived at the royal restrooms. Twilight blinked. Nightmare Moon? I can't believe this! The alicorn shouted from within. Who put cling wrap in the toilet seats? Heads will roll! Why am I giving her a man's voice? I have no idea. It just fits. Twilight stood outside, paralyzed as she mouthed the words she had just heard. Cling wrap? There was a blast of magic from within the restroom and the sound of scrambling hooves. Twilight walked away slightly so she didn't want to have to hear more. After a few minutes of waiting, Nightmare Moon made her way out on shaky legs. She was sweating. Some pony's going to pay for this! Twilight noticed that the Dark Queen was dragging a long piece of toilet paper on her left hind hoof, but chose to remain silent. Who could have done it? Twilight wondered aloud. I doubt the head chef would... Her eyes widened. The alicorn's eyes narrowed. Oh, this means war. She took a couple of angry steps towards the dining hall, but then her eyes widened and she grimaced. Slave! Make sure those free fillies stay the night with Sunny, she blurted out before running back into the restroom. Every pony's attention focused on Twilight as she walked into the dining room. Now, Scootaloo, that was a very mean thing to do. Twilight was interrupted as the whole table burst into laughter. Even Rarity. She put laxatives in the soup. As hard as she tried to cover her mouth and keep some semblance of composure, was giggling madly. The purple unicorn shook her head at the shockingly juvenile humor of her friends, but then, as she thought about it, she'll started giggling. It was then that the door opened again, admitting a young Pegasus guard into the hall. I am here for Miss Scootaloo? He questioned, looking around the room. The filly in question raised a hoof. That's me! The guard blinked. Oh, okay. I was asked by some pony named Rainbow Dash to escort you to receive flight training. But I don't know if that's... Yes! Scootaloo shouted, jumping to the floor and rushing up to him. Yes! I can do it! I want to! If Rainbow Dash thinks it will help, I'm sure it will. Well, the guard still looked uncertain. I do have to take you there, but... Let's go! The Pegasus filly shouted in excitement. I want to do this! Okay, the guard said as the filly bounced around him. This way, please. The other ponies in the room watched silently as a pair of Pegasi left. Did Dash even know we were coming here? Applejack asked. Or that Scootaloo was in the castle? Every pony looked down at the remains of their food. What happened? Sweetie asked. A lesson, Nightmare Moon said as her misty form slowly materialized in the room, eyes narrowed. We'll see how she likes it. Oh, God. So, are you gonna teach me to fly? No. Oh, Skulu blinked. Well then who is? We call him Sergeant Smoking Crater. His name is so cool. The filly stopped. Wait, why do you call him that? Yeah, about that. Well, here we are, kid. The guard looked around as he stopped in front of the door. Are you sure you want to do this? Hey, if Rainbow Dash thinks this will help, I wouldn't miss it. If you say so, kid. Pegasus knocked on the door. Sir, I brought the trainee. I'm sending her in. Pegasus opened the door and pushed the filly inside. Skulu looked around the room. It had old guard helmets, spears, armor, a chart with different flight formations, a large poster of Princess Celestia pointing her hoof at the viewer, which reads, Equestria needs you. Oh, goddamn. Military parody. In big white letters, and in the middle of it stood a Pegasus stallion, taller and more heavily muscled than any pony the filly Pegasus has ever seen. Even more muscled than Big Macintosh. His flanks were covered in scars, his mane was cut short and already turning white with only a few strands of red remaining. His coat was gray, and his cutie mark was a log being broken in two by some sort of giant hammer. His steel blue eyes squinted at the filly as a look of utter contempt and disgust crossed his face. This is what they sent me? I'm gonna go for a Full Metal Jacket voice here. He smashed his hoof into the stone floor, sending chips of the granite flying. A waste of my time! He pointed his hoof at Skulu. You are not fit to be here! You are not worthy of being here! You are nothing! Why are you here? The Pegasus guard quickly closed the door behind him, trying to ignore the shouts. Stand straight, maggot! Good luck, kid, the guard sighed as he walked away, the whole area resonating with the potent voice of the Royal Pegasi's unit drill sergeant. You were sent here to learn, so make sure you don't waste my time. What the hell are these? You call these wings? I call them feather dusters, because that's all those wings are good for since you can't even hover. Jump! I said jump! You're gonna need it. That's yes, drill sergeant, you maggot! And you call that a jump? I've seen dead lizards jump higher! Man, my people weren't lying. This is pretty funny. Twilight. Aw, why we gotta go back to this the castle? Just Full Metal Jacket pony. Just keep it up with him. Come on, seriously. Twilight, Applejack, and Sunny and Apple Bloom watched as Rarity and Sweetie finished their goodbyes. Be sure to brush your teeth at least 3 times a day, okay, Sweetie? Rarity said as she gave her sister a hug. Sure, sis. You really don't want to stay? You and Applejack could. The fashionista's hoof softly pressed against her muzzle. Sorry, Sweetie. We have to work, the unicorn sighed. I'm sure you'll be fine. If you need anything, just talk to Twilight. You too, Apple Bloom, Applejack said, patting her sister in the head. I don't want to come by tomorrow and find out you've misbehaved. You do the Apple family proud and mind your manners, you hear? Yes, ma'am. We already talked to Skulu's parents, so she's good for the night, too, Twilight told the fillies. Yay! This will be my very first sleepover! Sunny bounced around the group. The group of mares watched in amusement as the fillies all got excited and jumped around. Celebrating with Sunny, Applejack noticed that Twilight's smile was a bit sad. What's wrong, Sugar Cube? Purple Unicorn blinked. Oh, nothing. Well, I never had a sleepover before either. Aw, don't worry, Twilight, Sweetie said, stopping her bouncing to pat her mentor's interdimensional counterpart on the foreleg. I'm sure you, Applejack, and Rarity will someday have one. And it'll be raining, and you'll use that book about sleepovers and try to follow it exactly, and Sis and Applejack will get into a fight, but a tree branch will fall, and you'll be friends again. Where have I heard that intricate woven plotline before? I have no idea. Let's keep reading, shall we? Okay. That's... Applejack blinked. Rather specific, Rarity finished. Twilight just looked at the filly, confused. Okay. The sound of a flushing toilet announced the imminent return of Nightmare Moon. Well, we should go. I'll see you tomorrow, Apple Bloom. Don't y'all go causing a ruckus now, you hear? Enjoy your stay at the castle, darling. Bye, girls. Twilight smiled as the group watched the path cross the portal. I'll see you later. Ugh. Nightmare Moon walked up to them. What's going on, slave? Twilight sighed. It's time to work. I think I have the list of petitioners for today. Nightmare Moon grimaced. Do we have to? Twilight glared at the Queen. Yes. The Alicorn sighed. Fine. The 2 mares walked away, leaving the fillies behind. We have to save Twilight, Sweetie said, turning to look at the other fillies. Nightmare Moon must be stopped. Ooh, I love playing Rescue the Princess, Sunny clapped her hooves together happily. How are we doing it? I don't know, Sweetie said, slumping a bit. I have an idea. Both Sweetie and Sunny turned to look at her. Applebloom smiled. Let's set a trap. Yay! Sunny cried, jumping up and down. I love setting up traps. I think. She tapped her chin with her hoof. Something about it sounds familiar. Applebloom smiled. Well, I'll need some paper and pencil to show you girls proper. Follow me, Sunny cried, leading the two others away from the portal. I have a bunch of paper and lots of pens. What about Scootaloo? Sweetie asked as she and Belle followed Sunny. She'll be okay, Sunny said. I'll tell the guards to take her to my room once she's finished learning. Oh, not for a long time. Having gone 3 times over the list of things she would have to cover when she held court, Nightmare Moon and Twilight Sparkle made their way to the throne room. Everything was in perfect order. 2 guards stood at attention at the base of the stairs that led to the throne. They could hear the ponies waiting outside the main doors. Okay, Nightmare Moon growled. Let's make this quick. She motioned for the guards to allow the first pony in, as she sat down on the throne. What the hell is this? The sound of the rather undignified flatulation echoed in the throne room, just as the monocled, top-hatted stallion took his first step into the lengthy room. Every pony stared at Nightmare Moon in horror. The monocle clattered to the floor, breaking in half as the stallion's jaw almost hit the floor. The guards visibly forced themselves to look away and forward, as was their duty. Twilight Sparkle simply looked horrified and embarrassed. 3 distorted voices echoed around the room, coming from everywhere and nowhere, making the guards snap to attention as the now monocle-less stallion to shiver. This was just the beginning, Nightmare Moon. Unless you release Twilight, if you don't, you will suffer the consequences. You cannot stop us. You cannot find us. We are the Crusaders. We are Legion. Oh my God, it's cryptic as hell. The ponies in the throne room stared around in awe. Who would be brave enough to challenge? Suddenly they could hear giggles as something rustled behind the curtains, where one of the no longer secret entrances to the throne room was. Oh, darn it, I still can't hear it. The spell's still on? Turn it off, turn it off! Silence. With a flash of blue energy, the throne room door slammed shut behind the now thoroughly bewildered petitioner. Nightmare Moon rose, followed by a wet slurping sound as something inside the throne struggled to suck back air. From the throne, floating in a blue aura magic, emerged an industrial-sized whoopee cushion. Nightmare Moon glared at every pony in the room. No pony will hear of this. Am I clear? If any pony disobeys this order, I will hunt them down and banish them into the sun. She glared around. Is that clear? Yes, Your Majesty, every pony but Twilight shouted immediately. Good. Nightmare's eyes narrowed as she looked at the shaking stallion. Now, your requests, and make it fast. I have business to attend to. The 3 fillies ran away from the courts, laughing. Did y'all see her face? That was amazing! Yeah, Sweetie agreed before looking over at Sunny. How'd you know about that secret entrance? Well, I'm not sure, the Pegasus said. I just remembered it was there. Sweetie stared at the Pegasus, her mind flashing back to much earlier that morning. Sis! The white Pegasus happily jumped to her feet and trotted up to Nightmare Moon. Sweetie looked at the sun cutie mark. She's also freaking Nightmare Moon's sister! The unicorn filly blinked. Could it be? Sis! I made new friends! No, it couldn't be, could it? Sunny? Yes? Sweetie shifted nervously. I'm sorry to ask, but, it's okay. I don't mind you asking questions, the Pegasus said with a big smile. Do you know if you're adopted? Sweetie asked with an encouraging smile. Sunny blinked. I don't think I am. But, Applebloom interrupted, you're not an alicorn. You're just a Pegasus, right? Oh, I am. This gem just hides it, Sunny said, but then frowned. But don't tell any pony. It's supposed to be a secret. Then, like a hammer, the full force of Nightmare Moon's words hit Sweetie. So you condemn your lives to the misery of living in these empty halls, alone, save for each other, my sister Sunny, and the occasional visit from your family? If Nightmare Moon was Princess Luna, my sister Sunny, and Princess Luna only had one sister, my sister Sunny. Oh, sweet Celestia! Sweetie's eyes widened in panic as she pointed at Sunny with a hoof. You're Celestia! Oh my God! I couldn't figure that out either! Applebloom stared at Sunny, then at Sweetie. But how do you know? Princess Luna is Celestia's sister. Who's Luna? the Earth Pony asked. Nightmare Moon, the Unicorn Filly explained. Princess Luna was jealous of Princess Celestia 1,000 years ago and transformed into Nightmare Moon because of it. Oh, the yellow-coated filly said. I get it. I'm just Sunny now, the Pegasus said. She smiled uneasily when Apple Bloom bowed before her. And don't do that. I don't really mind. The conversation trailed off as the three other fillies heard a tingling melody fluttering through the castle halls. Is that, Sweetie started, the Candy Mare? Candy Mare? You mean the pedophile? I guess so. I don't know. I didn't know pedophiles were allowed in castles, but if they have poor security, I guess I can't help it. The free fall of the music joined to just outside the halls, where a small garden was niched. In the middle stood a small cart with all sorts of treats, an Earth Pony mare with 2 crossed candy bars as the cutie mark smiled at them. I'm gonna give him a creepy voice. Hello! Would you three like some candy? Darkness. Sweetie slowly opened her eyes, taking in the room around her. She blinked. There was something off. For starters, the sofa was on the ceiling. Wait, what? More awake now, she noticed that Apple Bloom and Sunny were standing next to her, but they were still asleep. When did I fall asleep? And why are they standing up if they are asleep? Well, horses do sleep standing up, so, yeah, you know. She started noticing other things as well. Besides the sofa, Sunny's bed was also on the ceiling, and her chairs, plush toys, and papers. It was when Scootaloo walked in on the ceiling and looked around before turning her head down and look at her that she understood. Wait! She's not on the ceiling! I am! And cue the unenthusiastic scream. Ah! Not really unenthusiastic, just not good. The hall was quiet. A single ephemeral blue tendril poked around the corner, probing it around uncertainly, before slowly pulling back. That was slowly read. Nightmare Moon followed, smirking. A full house without pranks! Full hour without pranks! Victory is mine! As Nightmare Moon walked, cackling, down the hall towards the archives, she still kept her eyes open. Those crusaders could be anywhere, but for now it seemed that they had retreated, no doubt to lick their wounds. Sweetie screamed when she found herself glued to the ceiling by the hooves. Priceless! Clop. Ew. She looked around once more as she approached her office. Everything was quiet, a little too quiet. Clop. Ew, don't clop. Ew. Her hoofsteps echoed in the unnaturally silent hall. She could feel her pulse rise. Clop. Stop! It's disgusting! By the time she stood in front of her office, she was expecting the crusaders to jump out of the shadows. She turned her eyes to the door. They were behind it. She knew it. They were probably hiding, ready to scare her. She smiled obviously. Well, she would surprise them. Taking a deep breath and rearing back, she kicked the door open and jumped in, roaring a challenge, which was cut short when her whole face was met with a cellophane paper and glue. She sputtered and flailed, knocking down papers in a vase before she thought to use her magic to rip it off her face, leaving her fur matted in glue. Crusaders! She shouted in anger as she threw the ball of cellophane back to the floor. She stomped forward in anger, not noticing the tripwire until it was too late. She blinked as she saw the wire flash upwards by her side and looked up, just in time to see a bucket of chicken feathers come cascading down on top of her. They killed Scootaloo! Damn it, stop with the chicken jokes, Fred! No, fuck you. I'm arguing with myself. Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom watched as Scootaloo and Sunny ran after each other in an impromptu game of tag. So far, the copper-colored Pegasus hadn't fought to go chase after them, so Sweetie took a break of sorts to think. She sighed and put down the book she had been half reading. She had found some interesting spells, but her understanding was too basic to learn them without help, even if she was doing a lot better compared to a few weeks ago. That, and it didn't seem to be any closer to being able to free Twilight from Nightmare Moon's grasp. You okay, sweetie? Apple Bloom asked, hearing the sigh. Not really, the Unicorn Filly shook her head. I feel like I haven't been able to do much since I arrived. Well, maybe if our next trap gets Nightmare Moon. Sweetie was about to respond when she felt something. What was that? Magic? But why? Hey! Scootaloo and Sunny came running towards them. Come on, you have to play too. Crusaders! A voice boomed, and a black alicorn covered in white chicken feathers suddenly materialized for them in a burst of blue mist. I will have my revenge! Ah! 4 voices echoed in horror as the fillies turned around in a panic and ran away blindly, only to fall into a pit of tar at the moment they passed the flower beds. They all gasped and struggled to get out, but a blue aura levitated them out of the tar until the whole dripping group was floated in front of the feather-colored feather-covered Nightmare Moon, who smiled viciously as another levitation spell brought up a giant batch of chicken feathers. And furthermore, no more gooey pranks from any of you. Am I clear? Twilight growled at the feather group in front of her. Now, you're all going to take a bath. But, no buts, sweetie. Ha! I don't want to hear anything from you either, Nightmare Moon, Twilight sighed, looking at the Alicorn. You're all taking a bath now. I asked the Hoof Maidens to prepare it. So in you all go. What? Together? Screwloo asked, looking at the black Alicorn in horror. Yes, together, Twilight growled. Huzzah! Nightmare Moon growled sarcastically as she stomped through the bath. The fun has been doubled! Once inside, she reluctantly joined Sweetie Belle, Bloom, and Sunny inside the enormous bathtub, while Nightmare Moon slowly lowered herself into the water with them. Now, the Hoof Maidens are going to, Twilight began to say when she was suddenly enveloped in a blue aura of magic and dunked into the water, listening giggles from the fillies. The purple unicorn spluttered out of the water, eyes wide, and turned to glare at the black unicorn. What? Why? Nightmare Moon grinned as she nuzzled the unicorn with a feathery snout. Why, Twilight, you don't think I would take a bath without you, do you? It'd take all the fun out of personal cleaning. Wanderer D, this is for teen, not mature, you dick. As Twilight started blushing, one of the Hoof Maidens coughed uncomfortably. Lady Twilight, if this is a bad moment, perhaps we could take the fillies to another bath? No! Twilight shouted, slightly hysterical. It's fine. We're all here to take a normal, uninteresting bath together, where the only thing that's going to happen is that we're getting clean. But Twilight, Nightmare Moon whined. No! Fine. Do I get to cuddle with you tonight if I behave in the bath? The Queen asked. Jesus fucking. Only if you behave. If you want cuddles from me, you'll have to earn. Twilight stopped mid-sentence and face-tilted. The Nightmare Moon happily nodded at the hoof mares to begin their work. Why? Why me? 'Cause you're purple and it's not good. Don't worry, Twilight, Sweetie whispered to her. I'll save you. The purple unicorn looked down inside. Somehow, that doesn't make me feel much better. Hey, marshmallows are very heroic. You need to have faith. The bath started with a simple scrubbing. Nightmare Moon watched in glee as the fillies were scrubbed harder and harder, trying to get the tar out of the fur. This is not working at all, one of the hoof mares panted after a particularly vicious attempt at cleaning Apple Bloom, who looked at them with dread in her eyes. I think we might need to shave more areas, the hoof maid suggested. But my hair and coat, Apple Bloom cried out in panic. It's okay, dear, the hoof mare said. It's not much, and you won't have to stay in the bath for 2 hours like Nightmare Moon's Sunny Miss Scootaloo. What? Both the Alicorn and the Pegasus gasped simultaneously before looking at each other in horror. Well, we cannot cut the feathers, the hoof maid explained, making Sunny, Nightmare Moon, and Scootaloo all wince at the thought. So you two have to soak in the water for a while so that we can get all the glue and tar out. This is your fault, Nightmare Moon growled at Scootaloo, who cowered for a second before a frown replaced her fearful expression. Scootaloo splashed the black Alicorn in the face. It's not! You started it, the Pegasus retorted. I am the Queen! I do what I want without fear of repercussions. Well, I have plenty of cushions for you, Scootaloo replied, getting in Nightmare's face. Repercussions means consequences, brat, Nightmare Moon snapped. What the hey are you, a dictionary? Scootaloo asked, glaring back. And with that, I think we'll go for now, Twilight said, stepping out of the bath. Come on, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle. Let's give you a trim and go do something more productive. I think I'll soak for a bit longer, if you don't mind, Twilight, Apple Bloom said. I really don't want to have to cut my mane. Sweetie Belle shrugged and stepped out, following Twilight out of the bathroom. The pair of unicorns walked back into Nightmare Moon's room, closing the door behind them. Twilight turned to look at Sweetie, her horn glowing. Slowly, the tar peeled away, taking a few strands of mane and pulling a bit harder on her coat. It was soon completely off of her. Why didn't you do that earlier? Sweetie asked, looking herself over. Well, first of all, Nightmare Moon deserves it, the purple unicorn replied. I want to talk to you without distractions. Oh, Sweetie nervously looked around. What about? Twilight sat down and looked at the filly sternly. The truth. You've been lying about a lot of things, Sweetie Belle. I want to know why. Why do you immediately look at me when a question about magic comes up? Twilight took a deep breath. You treat me like you expect me to know all the answers. You trust me, but you barely even know me. She shook her head. You told Spike that I had recommended you to take the entrance exam, but I didn't even know you until early today. We had never talked before, so I couldn't have done that. Twilight's eyes seemed to bore into Sweetie's. Did this mysterious Trixie really